Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcasts? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily and Up First, uninterrupted at amazon.com/ad-free news podcasts. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free news podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Acast Network shows are ad-free for Prime subscribers. Other shows may have ads.
On today's Smart 7, mystery over BBC presenter suspension, Joe Biden pops in and lots more. It's Monday the 10th of July, it's International Town Criers Day, and happy birthday Perry Edwards.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
It was another very strange weekend on social media as a BBC scandal went hugely viral. A BBC presenter has been suspended and reported to the police over allegations he paid a teenager for sexually explicit images. The BBC haven't named the individual, but social media was full of endless speculation and then the bizarre sight of senior TV and radio presenters publicly declaring it wasn't them and in some cases threatening to sue those who tweeted otherwise. Financial Secretary to the Treasury Victoria Atkins says the BBC needs to move quickly.
These are very, very serious allegations. As public attention and concern grows, the BBC is going to have to act very swiftly to deal with these allegations and to set out what they are doing to investigate them.
The original complaint was apparently made to the BBC by the victim's mother back in May, and when it appeared no action had been taken, she then approached a tabloid newspaper. Stephen Flynn of the SNP says the BBC have some serious explaining to do.
I think there's a number of questions for the BBC to answer here, not least when they knew about this, and if they did know about it, why they've not acted. I would strongly anticipate that in the coming days, Parliament would expect some answers from the hierarchy at the BBC. Former ITN Chief Exec Stuart Purvis says the BBC's in a difficult position as it can't in any way identify the presenter, but that the tone so far has been poor.
The problem is it looks evasive. It doesn't look, in the jargon of the hour, transparent. So the statement they issued, to me, was almost pointing to the parent as the problem.
This week sees NATO leaders meet for their annual summit in the Lithuanian capital Vilnius. Ahead of that, US President Joe Biden made a flying visit to the UK, arriving on Sunday night ahead of a catch-up with PM Rishi Sunak and a formal first meeting with King Charles. Ukrainian President Zelensky has been busy trying to make a case that Ukraine should be admitted to the alliance as soon as possible. But speaking to CNN on Sunday, Joe doesn't sound convinced the timing's right.
I don't think it's ready for membership in NATO, but here's the deal. I spent a great deal of time trying to hold NATO together. I don't think there is unanimity in NATO about whether or not to bring Ukraine into the NATO family now, in the middle of a war.
Biden did sign off a new aid package for Ukraine, however, but it contains a highly controversial item, so-called cluster bombs. The US, Russia and Ukraine haven't signed up to the Convention on Cluster Munition, which seeks to ban the bombs that can scatter and kill civilians. But former Ukrainian Defence Minister Andriy P. Zagnarodniak says Russia are already using them and Ukraine will primarily use them for mine clearing.
We certainly will not use them in a controversial way. We're not going to use them in any populated areas. We will use them in a very, very narrow area, which is basically the front line, where civilians are not present anyway.
Climate change is becoming an increasingly urgent issue. With global warming ratcheting up and new temperature records being set, there's a call for greater and swifter action. US climate envoy John Kerry was in the UK in advance of Joe Biden's visit, and he says it's critical governments begin to take climate change seriously and commit to investing in renewables and resources to make a difference.
I think we have a challenge globally, including in the United States, to get people to move faster. But what we're doing is trying to excite, to incentivize the private sector to move faster, and that's happening.
The Just Stop Oil climate change protests appear to have a new recruit over the weekend as a woman threw orange confetti all over last week's viral sensation, former Chancellor George Osborne, during his wedding. Just Stop Oil says she wasn't one of their crew, but Labour's Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves is getting fed up with the protesters' disruptive tactics.
I've got no time for Just Stop Oil. To be honest, I think it's a bit pathetic and quite tedious. If they want to tackle climate change, engage in the policy answers, but they're not building support for their cause. They're doing the exact opposite.
America's been busy trying to repair relations with China in recent months after the diplomatic row caused by the shooting down of the so-called spy balloon. Last month saw Secretary of State Antony Blinken head over there for meetings, and now US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's also headed to Beijing for discussions on future cooperation. It's part of Joe Biden's efforts to make sure that China doesn't form an alliance with Russia, and Secretary Yellen seemed positive about the progress made on the 4-day trip.
Even where we don't see eye to eye, I believe there is clear value in the frank and in-depth discussions we had. Broadly speaking, I believe that my bilateral meetings served as a step forward in our effort to put the U.S.-China relationship on a surer footing.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Brits hit the podium at Silverstone and Robert Downey Jr. wants a change of management. Right after this.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
Welcome back.
Max Verstappen's seemingly unstoppable form continued at the British Grand Prix as he won the race from pole and is now over 80 points clear in the Drivers' Championship. It was at least an exciting race, with McLaren's Lando Norris briefly leading and then battling with Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes right to the end. Norris claimed second, while Lewis claimed third, giving an enthusiastic crowd 2 British drivers on the podium at least. Max wasn't happy with his start, but seemed to enjoy the challenge from McLaren.
I was doing a bit of drifting on Thursday with marketing, and it felt like I was doing that also in the start, which wasn't very good. At least it made it a bit more exciting. And Lando didn't really put up a fight. He was very nice to me, but then he actually came back again in the DRS, so he had a lot of pace today.
The world is hurtling towards a cosmic culture clash as 2 of the biggest movies of the summer get ready to hit cinemas in about 10 days' time. It's a choice between the phenomenon that is Barbie or Christopher Nolan's latest masterpiece, Oppenheimer, or you can be like Tom Cruise and go see both. The Oppenheimer cast were out and about doing press this weekend, and maybe it's the month spent working on a movie about men building world-ending nuclear bombs, but Robert Downey Jr. reckons it might be time for the Globe to get some new management.
Men start wars, and the entire planet should be a matriarchy. But I've never changed position on that.
So you already had that going into this.
Well, this was just a triple confirmation.
The Conjuring's one of the most successful horror franchises ever, taking over $2 billion across its sequels, prequels and spin-offs. Now, the 9th instalment in the Conjuring universe has just dropped, and it's a sequel to 2018's The Nun. If you're in the mood for a good scare, it's due to hit cinemas in September.
There's something wrong with the school. Something doesn't feel right.
Sophie, what happened?
I think there's something here that's not meant to be.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcasts? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily and Up First, uninterrupted, at amazon.com/ad-free news podcasts. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free news podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Acast Network shows are ad-free for Prime subscribers. Other shows may have ads.